our story begins, with a band of misfits and their original sins. Got a map in my pocket and a sword on my hip. Let me tell you about this adventurous trip. There's Hobbs, the bold, a tabaxi rogue, and a row, and the druid's friend to every toad. Thorn the baker, who's totally not a warlock, and Echo Fire, whose punches make zombies drop. Doctors versus Dungeons, hey, where fantasy reigns. Doctors versus Dungeons, break those chains. The DM is cackling behind their screen, planning the deadliest traps you've seen. But we'll face the dangers with dice in hand, creating legends across the land. Doctors versus Dungeons, hey, where fantasy reigns. Doctors versus Dungeons, break those chains. So grab your character sheet and join our crew.
All right, welcome back. Episode 8. The downside of playing D&D with a group of doctors being that there's often someone left on a shift, so we'll start without one of them and see how we go, but we've got the Hobbs arc to continue, given that our party's split up. So we can start back in a rather full rowboat headed from out where the Compass Rose was wrecked back in towards Dragon's Rest. I think some healing had been offered, and Captain Jewel and Zenyan have kindly volunteered to take over the rowing, which I think their experience makes the trip back to Dragon's Rest a little bit more efficient than it might otherwise have been, based on what you saw with the two kobolds rowing on the way in. Now, the two kobolds definitely want to hear more about the tales of the dread pirate Hobbs. And so I imagine that Jewel and Zenyan, whilst rowing, wink at each other and then spend the rest of the trip back regaling them with more stories, most of which would contain at least a little truth. Imagine, Hobbs, that I don't know if you try and stop them from telling the kobold stories or if you were enjoying it.
Oh, I'm enjoying it. I'd never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah. But at some point you maybe zone out a little bit and take in your surroundings instead. And as you come towards the area where Dragon's Rest is, you see something that your other friends had seen a couple of days before. You see the large open-air temple coming into view, perched high on the edge of those cliffs. And there's plenty of time for you to admire it and look at it. There's that towering statue in the center of the temple. It depicts an old man surrounded by 7 songbirds. And you can see that there is a long path winding up the side of the cliff, sort of zigzagging a bit up towards the temple. And you can also see that there are doorways cut into the rock on the way up that path. I'm not sure if you would like to interrupt any of that conversation that is going on with the great stories about your piracy. If you've got any questions or conversations you'd like to have as you approach Dragon's Rest, or if you really are happy just to sit there and take it all in and enjoy the fact that to these 2 little kobolds you are now every bit the hero.
I'd like to ask, what was the human's name?
The human you have is Vanoff. I don't think you ever actually introduced yourself properly, but
Well, I might introduce myself properly to Vanoff. Thank you once again for our trip, and I was wondering if she could tell me a bit more about this temple, because this is what I had come here to explore. So I'd like to know a bit more about it. The story of the man and the 7 songbirds, and yeah.
She sort of looks you up and down and she says, I didn't take you as a follower of Bahamut, but I'm sure he accepts anyone.
Bahamut?
Well,
I'm
you
afraid
said you've come pilgrimage to the temple.
I had heard of this beautiful temple. I did not actually know, and it was more curiosity than knowledge which drew me here. So I'm eager to learn of the temple and what it means. But yeah, I am afraid I don't actually possess knowledge of this temple.
Do you often travel just to see something you know nothing about?
Only
Yeah.
when he's not robbing ships on the high seas.
I go where my fancy takes me, and where they're yeah.
We'll have many interesting chats about Elder, I think. He is the platinum dragon, senator of all the metallic dragons. Adventurers often pray to him, so it would be possible.
Well, it is a most beautiful temple.
He has a lax temple, he's quite peaceful. It's a fairly basic temple, really. The statue is even mortal guy.
Oh.
He would shift the older dragons. They can shift into humanoid form. And so he would shift, and he was always accompanied by gold dragons, 7 gold dragons, represented by the 7 canaries that you can see around him.
Does he reside on this island?
He, this is a temple to him. He is a god. He seldom interferes in the affairs of mortals. He does make exceptions occasionally to thwart the machinations of Tiamat and her evil dragons, but mostly he upholds honor and provides courage to those who need it.
Well, thank you for your information. And can you tell me more of my companions? What have they been up to? Where are they heading?
She cocks her head to one side and says, "What makes you think they're heading anywhere? It's called Dragon's Rest for reasons."
Oh, so are they resting at the temple? I was really curious as to. I had been separated from them for and I ended up on this adventures with the fine captain and Zenian. And I am keen to hear news of the baker and the heroine. And
If I'm honest with you, young cat, I've actually not interacted with them since they arrived. What was it, yesterday or the day before? They certainly caused quite a bit of excitement amongst our kobolds. They'd slewn some zombies themselves on the beach on the way up. But I've actually not chatted with any of them, and I can't say I've seen them today.
Okay. Were they? Okay. Zombies are a big problem around here.
I believe you've just solved that problem.
Excellent.
The island is known as Stormwreck for a reason. We've always had a problem with wrecks, especially out where you were. But I wasn't here then, but I believe it was about 40 years ago when the Compass Rose was wrecked. Some of those sailors turned up as zombies, and ever since then, every time there's been a wreck, there have been more zombies.
Zombies. Oh, okay.
My understanding is that you have done some good today. Bahamut willing, that will be the end of our zombie problem. But
Hear it.
the island itself does hold many scars.
Oh,
So, where one problem is solved, another is sure to arise.
thank you kindly for the information. And where are we heading right now? I'm discombobulated.
We're towards the northern aspect of the island and headed into Dragon's Rest itself.
Excellent.
You'll be able to get a much closer look at this beautiful temple. I take great pride in the temple maintenance. That's my major role here.
It is certainly beautiful, and I look forward to it. Thank you. I'll settle back and continue listening to the stories.
And then,
Um,
and then he made the kraken walk the plank.
One of the kobolds says, How do cravats walk?
And the tentacles.
Yeah.
But, like,
Slowly.
Like, do they all move together? Do they move like one side at once and then the other side like a, is it like a sort of...
It's not elegant.
Is anyone elegant when they walk? It's like,
I'd defer to Mr. Hobbs on that.
Mr. Hobbs, is anyone elegant when they walk the plank?
Not usually, but perhaps some of those of the elven kind perhaps may be elegant. They seem to be irritatingly elegant, no matter what.
Irritatingly elegant. Is that why you made them walk the plank?
Only sometimes.
What about the other times?
Well, they may have displeased me in some other way.
The one who's asking you the questions nudges the one next to her and says, "We better not displease him."
I'll casually flick out my claws just to admire them while flicking my tail.
Cruel. You're deliberately doing it. I love it. All right. As you get closer to Dragon's Rest, you arrive at the beach. The rowboat pulls up to the other side of the dock you can see there. So the rowboat that you can see is not the rowboat you're in. You pull up on the other side. And as you get out of the rowboat onto the rickety dock, the first thing you notice is actually that there are two sailors in the other rowboat. And they immediately stand up and actually almost salute the captain. And they say, "Captain Jewel, we've been, Renara sent word that you were going to need transport back to another ship. Do you wish to come with us?"
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we healed last time, so she's not injured
We healed. Yeah.
anymore. Yeah. So I think the only thing that she would have to do is see Hobbs safely to his destination and thank him for his service, and maybe do a brief ceremony promoting him, because we didn't get a chance to do that on the Compass Rose. So she just quickly has him kneel, and Zenian brings the giant sword over, and we quickly tap him on either side, and arise, you're now chief bosun. And then she says that he's welcome to join her crew anytime, but for now she's going to head back to, what do we say, Neverwinter? Where's the closest big city? It's Neverwinter, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, she's going back to the big city to find another ship. And she bids you adieu.
Well, I shall miss you. Thank you so much for your care and companionship, and I look forward to seeing you again, and I may very well take you up on that offer. And to help with the with you acquiring a new ship, we did have a lot of coin that we had looted, and I'll let you keep my share so you can go towards a new boat.
That's very kind of you, Mr. Hobbs, but you may not have noticed, but I'd already taken that of your share. But that's okay. That's fine. I do appreciate it, giving willingly. So she did leave him with all of the magic items and other things, but I think pretty much anything of value that we found last time that had commercial value, I think she's spent the last couple of days steadily acquiring it back while he had a cat nap.
Do you love a nap?
Love it.
And Xenion tries to remain subtle with the bag pocket bulging with gold pieces.
Yep. In the subtle with the clanking heavy armor giant.
Oh, you have this old thing.
Yep. Yep. All right, come on, Mr. Xenion. Find fairer winds, and perhaps
Aye, aye,
somewhere
Captain.
we'll go somewhere
Be gone
tropical
of this
with
wretched place.
less marrows and more rum.
Why is the rum always gone?
Yeah. And so so we row away to.
Yes. So at that point, we can bid farewell to Captain Jewel and Xenion. I mean, look, at least for now, we won't completely rule out them returning. But
when we later need a naval bombardment in about, I don't know, 4 episodes time.
it could be something we use. We'll see. We'll see. So Hobbs, you head off that rickety wharf and across the sand with Vanoff and the 2 little kobolds. And you do see a couple of interesting things as you head across the beach. You see a sort of remnant of maybe something like a fire pit. Clearly someone's been down here burning things. There's some ashes. And it looks reasonably fresh. You know, you'd expect it to have been in the last week or so, max. And there are also the quite bloated, rotting corpses of 3 zombies that are very dead. Very dead, properly dead. As you make your way across the beach. And at that point, I was planning on heading back to the caves, but we might just head to more of Hobbs for now. Tonight is shaping up to be the adventures of Hobbs.
Part fine.
Well, that's all right. We will get the rest of you to your fungal octopus monster at some point.
We shouldn't have given up his sidekicks. He needs the side.
You didn't have to leave. I said you didn't have to leave.
No. And in fact, the captain really should have done more due diligence about where those people were from, because she does have warrants for her arrest in some places.
Oh.
Too late now.
Yep, too late now. Just finding you. Kobold or 2. Who have you got? You've got Vanoff. So you make your way up the path with Vanoff and your 2 little kobold companions. It's a fairly steep path with stairs. Occasionally, just little garden plots with flowers and herbs and vegetables, and you I don't think you're much of a gardener yourself, but you can tell that they're well tended. They're growing neatly They're growing well. There aren't weeds. And as you head up the path, the kobolds are chattering away to each other, talking about how all of their friends are going to be so excited to meet the dread pirate Hobbs, and how special they are because they got to go and get you. Vanoff just sort of walks quietly, slightly behind you, sort of bringing up the rear of the group, and isn't really chattering unless you specifically talk to her again. As you reach the area where the path widens into sort of a little plaza, you see another statue, one that you might have missed before when you were taken in by the temple itself. This statue is of an actual dragon in dragon form,
Sure.
not humanoid. So that's where you can see the star just next to where it says A1, that the dragon statue.
Cool.
And so as you walk up here, you've got a widening of a plaza, you've got the dragon statue, and you've got those little cutout doorways into the cliff face itself.
Ooh, I'll ask Vanoff. Is that Bahamut in dragon form?
Ah, I can see why you'd ask. But no. Firstly, remember I said Bahamut is platinum. You'll see that's a bronze. This is a Stalagan. He died on these cliffs centuries ago. Not a deity, a dragon.
Okay. Is there a tale of this? Was there a battle, or
Perhaps you ask Renara about that.
are we going to meet Renara?
Yes, she'll be up in the temple at this time of morning. We've got a little bit further to walk. These are our monastic cells, where your friends have been sleeping in the first one. You feel free to pop your head in and see if they're there now, if you'd like to.
Okay, thank you. And I'll compliment her on her garden, say, look very tidy and gardeny. And I'll go pop into that.
When you meet Tarek, you compliment him.
Ah.
He'll be very pleased. There's no one in that first cell at the moment, but you can see some of the equipment from your friends, like maybe a couple of their, secondary bags or something that they haven't taken with them. But there's no one in there at the moment. And as you move further up the plaza, a whole stack of other kobolds come out. And we return to the cacophony that is all the excitable little kobolds as they're all talking over each other. They don't have... You weren't there when they met your friends, but they were, to start with, just a tiny bit reserved, meeting strangers last time. But because you're surrounded by people that they know, it's straight into all of them talking over the top of each other. Everything from asking the two kobolds that you're with, who's this then? And how was the ride out? And I can't believe you didn't drown. To, of course, someone walking right up to you and saying, "Can I touch your fur?" And obviously, the kobolds that are with you are quite quick to tell their companions that this is the famed dread pirate Hobbs. And that sort of gets whispered and echoed with a whisper around the group. And that's the dread pirate Hobbs.
I'll let them have their thing, and I'll just enjoy the attention because I'm a bit of a narcissist. And they're kind of funny, so they seem amused.
After a while, seeing that you're not going to do anything to stop them, Vanoff actually says, "Don't you guys have jobs?" And they sort of all agree with her and start to scatter, a couple of them sort of pausing a little bit too long to try and throw in one more question for Pirate Hobbs. And at which point she says to the two kobolds that were with you on the rowboat, "You guys can run along now too. I'll take him up to the temple." And they sort of almost go to argue with her, but she glares at them and they just sort of shut up and back off. So they can sort of disappear over there for a bit. As you walk past the statue of the bronze dragon, a Salagan, could you roll me a perception check, please? As you get closer to it, you unsurprisingly look up at it a little bit to get a closer look. And you notice that dripping right down the center of the forehead is some sort of bird dropping.
Yeah.
Sean, that was a real sensory processing delay there,
know
mate.
what I was expecting you to have him roll for, but the 3-day-old owl bird shit from my familiar was not what I was expecting.
I just, look, he wasn't here for the bird poo on this statue. I wanted him to have the opportunity to be.
to appreciate the bird poop.
So far, the owl familiar has proven entirely useless at preventing owl bear attacks, but it has desecrated a monument. So,
I'll sensitively point it out and ask and offer to help clean it if needed, just in case you hadn't noticed. I get the feeling it is a sacred sketch.
Vanoff actually nods at you slowly with a sort of a sense of respect and says, "Getting up there and cleaning that off is on my list of things to do, but it certainly won't be me doing it. And she sort of gestures down to that prosthetic leg she's got, and she says, "I'm not exactly the climber I once was. I was going to try to send the kobolds up at some point, but you might actually be a better man for the job."
Yeah, happy to help. Are there cleaning supplies in one of these little cutouts?
Yes, there would be. Which one would have the cleaning supplies? Look, probably Myla. The
good luck finding them.
Yeah, it was just that. Yeah, just that Myla's Myla sort of comes out. You can see her on the map there. Just ping her so you know which one I'm talking about. She comes out of her little cell as you guys are sort of approaching in that direction. And Vanoff is saying, "Look, if anyone's going to have cleaning supplies in their cells, it'll be Myla." But there she is. And as she comes out of her cell, you notice that she's got sort of little marks around her that look like she's very slightly been singed recently. And she says, "Oh, hello. Oh, you must be the Hobbs fellow."
I am. Are you okay? You appear to be.
Of course I'm okay. Why wouldn't I be okay?
Oh, yes. You look a little singed, and I had noticed the fire down on the beach.
No. The fire on the beach is not mine, but getting slightly injured occasionally is definitely definitely one of the prices we pay for alchemy and other fun experiments. Blame your friends, though. Blame your friends. That druid, she's lovely, but she's not very good at making gunpowder.
Gunpowder? Are they okay? this alchemy? Did it all?
Oh, she
minor
lost her
inklings,
eyebrows.
yeah,
It was quite funny. She seemed fine. They're fine. They're fine. That
Okay.
dragon woman, she's got skill. She should be an alchemist.
Thank you for helping them with this alchemy. Did you say why they were preparing gunpowder?
Something about a fungus octopus monster. I don't know. You'd have to ask Tarek. I think Tarek could know.
Okay. Yeah, it was lovely to meet you. I was going to clean this statue here, and Vanoff said you might have some cleaning supplies.
I probably do, actually. She turns around and scurries back into her cell, and you just hear this sort of, clanging and banging, and you can tell that she is ruffling through stuff, trying to find things. And then a couple of minutes later, she comes back out with some rags and a small vial of something and says, "Not usually my first choice, but it should work," and hands it to you. Thanks.
Okay, now, not your first choice. Is there anything I need to be aware of in using this substance?
What do you mean aware of?
Is it particularly caustic? Do I need...
I mean, not to
protection?
kobolds.
Can you tell me what it is?
She reaches out to take it back from me. She pops the cork off and she goes,
Doesn't seem like the kind of kobold to have a safety document sheet.
yeah, there's no
Material
MSDS on this
safety
one.
MSDS.
But also,
Yeah, so she takes
can we please bleach the tabaxi?
she takes the cork out of the top of it. She sort of smells it a bit. She has a little bit of a moment, and then hold on, I'm gonna roll to work out which one of these it goes for. And she says, safe enough.
Okay, I'll have a cautious sniff of it.
Definitely. How do you sniff it?
So I will kind of keep my face away from the opening and kind of like waft it. I'm not gonna like
Someone did
mainline this stuff.
chemistry in there. Good job. Faint scent of ammonia. Amongst some other sort of things that you can't place. Certainly smells like it might clean things. You certainly wouldn't want to drink it.
Okay. I'll just tentatively pop the... I assume there's some rags with this?
She's handed you rags as well, yeah.
Okay. I'll just tentatively dip one in and make sure it doesn't, combust or like immediately disintegrate.
It does not combust or immediately disintegrate.
Or change color.
It does not change color.
Okay. Well, it seems safe enough. Okay, I thank her, and I will go try and clean this statue.
Now, are you just gonna climb the statue?
That how big is this statue? Didn't actually get it.
Quite tall. So I mean, you're it's probably sort of 3 times your height. It is made out of bronze.
Yeah.
But being a statue of a dragon, it certainly has contours and textures to it in such a way that there would be sort of hand and foot holds.
Okay. Does it look easier that I could just climb the statue, or should I use a rope and peg it up?
You can't peg the statue on account of the fact that it's bronze.
I mean, like chuck a rope over the head and kind of climb up that way. Like which way looks to be more.
Hobbs, I would
possible.
like you to tell me what you'd like to do, and then we'll find out.
Okay. Well, how textured is this dragon?
I think that someone who is reasonably good at climbing could climb it.
Okay, I will do that.
Well, I would like either an acrobatics or an athletics check, please.
Sure. Did that come through? Oh yeah.
Yep. So you get about halfway up the dragon, and you just slide back off it again.
Ah. That's vexing. Well, I'll go to plan B and try my rope idea.
It does have horns, so if you could find a way to
Make a
maybe
little
lasso
loopy-loop.
it around the
Yeah.
horns, you could possibly make that way.
I'll give
Might
that a
need
go.
some sort of appropriate dex save to
Dex.
let me know whether or not you can do that. Turns out you're better at lassos than you are at climbing. You actually very deftly make a lasso quickly out of your rope, toss it up, get it on the first try, and pull it tight.
Cool.
You may use that to
Now,
climb up.
I will scamper up and try and clean the owl poop off the forehead of the statue.
Can you roll me just a straight D20, which is going to give me an idea of how hard it is for you to clean the 3-day-old owl poo off the top of the statue? Okay. So it does come off. The edges lift faster than the rest, and definitely whatever is in this jar that you've been given is working, but you do need to put a little bit of elbow grease into it.
Good as new. I'll job complete. I'll slide back down my rope
Cool.
and return the stuff to the little kobold and see if we can continue heading up to meet Renaro.
I think you probably can at this point. So with Vanoff, you guys can obviously head past those cells and then head up the sides. As you climb up, you walk past a winch house. And climb a little bit further, and Vanoff makes a point of saying that in there is the kitchen, and that whilst you're staying here, you'd obviously be welcome at all meals. You walk a little bit further, and for the very first time, you notice a place that actually has a door on the front of it. All the other cells so far and the kitchen have literally just been cut out into the rock. But there's a door on the front of this cutout, and Varnold says that's the library. And you make your way up until the two of you find yourself in the temple that you saw from the boat. And you would notice immediately that it is a very peaceful place. You feel the serenity as you walk into it. And standing in the temple near the statue in the middle is another older human woman. And she turns to the two of you. She's just quite simply tanned, weathered skin, white hair that's done up in tight braids, and kind hazel eyes. And she says, "Welcome to Dragon's Rest. May Bahamut's guidance lead you to whatever you seek. And may I thank you for your service."
Well, thank you for your kind welcome, and it was my absolute pleasure. thank you for looking after my friends. I do seek news of them and would appreciate anything you can tell me of what has happened and where they might be now.
She says they are well. They did get injured. There were zombies down on the beach when they arrived, but they fought valiantly, and we've been able to heal them, and they are rested. They're helping out a little bit at the moment. Actually, they were going to at some point go out to the wreck for me. I'd asked them to investigate it, but it appears you've kindly and almost single-handedly taken that on for me. New companions, the captain and the other one. At which point, Vanoff interjects and says, as you expected, Elder Renara, they did want to get back to a ship as soon as they could, so they've gone. And Vanoff excuses herself and leaves you alone with Renara.
So what are my companions helping with now?
They've gone on a trek across the island. One of our inhabitants here at Dragon's Rest, Tarek, he's our gardener. He usually visits the myconids in the caves. They give him mushrooms that he requires for some of the potions he makes. He's been unable to visit them recently. There is a lot of pain still in this island, and something is happening over there. They've gone to investigate it for him. I think your druid friend thinks she's getting a new pet.
She does. Yeah.
They set off about midday or just before.
Okay. Do you think I would be able to catch them? I am keen to reconnect with my companions.
I mean, it's a couple of hours trip across the island. I mean, so a couple of hours there and a couple of hours back, and they've been gone a couple of hours already, but obviously I don't currently know how long it will take them to investigate, so I'm not sure how long they'll be there. Would you not rest here first? Are you that keen for more adventure?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I am well rested. Vanoff kindly healed us on the way, and I did have a cat nap, as is my wont. And I am keen to meet up with my companions, and this new pet. I mean, if Erwin is interested, it is certainly going to be something exciting. She has a penchant for dangerous creatures.
She doesn't immediately reply to you. She just steps in a little bit closer with a calm but observant expression, and she sort of really just looks you over. Not in judgment so much, but in a gentle curiosity. And she says softly, "You've already seen more of this island's shadows than most who set foot upon it, Hobbs. I'm not entirely sure why you decided to travel here, but the sea brought you here as a thief, I think. The tide has already carried you further than you expected." And she pauses momentarily, as if she's weighing her next words carefully. And she says, I've heard what you did aboard the Carrick, and I know about the wreck. The Marrow, the Cursed Talisman, the Harpies, you've stood your ground. Some might say that makes you a hero. She smiles, small smile, it's subtle and knowing. She says, you fight for a few reasons. To survive, to protect others, perhaps, yes, even for the lovely stories. There's no shame in that. But violence, even when it is necessary, it leaves traces on the land, on the spirit. My purpose here is not to punish those who fight, or nor can I prevent a future need for violence, but I do aim to guide those who've been shaped by violence towards a different way, a quieter path, one that is not ruled so much by instinct or fear or habit or even self-indulgence, but just one in which violence is an absolute last resort.
Well, I shall try to live up to your teachings.
Why?
What?
Don't do it for me, Hobbs.
Well, I had come to this island to learn more of this temple, and I feel I would be foolish not to at least consider its teachings.
She looks at you, and those hazel eyes, quite piercing. And she's quiet for a moment, just looking at you. What is it that you seek, Hobbs?
Adventure and experiences.
To what end?
They are an end unto themselves. For now, at least.
There is growth for you here if you will accept it.
I would be keen to discuss that possibility further. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But now I am keen to... I had come with my companions, and I have not seen them for some time. And I feel I need to reconnect with them. But I would be most eager to come back and discuss growth with you.
She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a copy of the map of the island that already has the overland path traced onto it. And she says, I knew you wouldn't rest when I told you to. Here. And she pulls it out in front of me and says, this is where you are now. That's where they've headed. These are the major landmarks you need to know along the way. I would caution you that you can never be quite so sure what you'll meet out there. The island has got some interesting inhabitants, and as I mentioned, it is quite scarred itself, and people like yourself come here seeking various things. So I'd advise you to be careful. But I have no doubt that if you go after your friends, you will find the adventure you seek.
Thank you kindly, and I look forward to reconnecting with you upon my return.
She sort of walks over into one of the corners of the temple where it's quite shadowed, and you feel like she slips behind one of the columns, but you'd almost say she faded from view, leaving you alone in the temple.
Well, I'm going
With
to
your
scurry
map.
over and check out behind that pillar thing. See if there's a secret door or a trapdoor or something like that.
As you can sort of see in the actual maps that we've got in front of us, and the temple is literally carved into the rock, and you're not going to find anything there that gives you an answer as to where she's gone.
Okay. Is there anything else interesting in this temple? Or is it pretty bare? As the
Look,
kitchen suggests?
it is a well kept, clean temple, but it is actually quite simple. The statue is right in the middle of it where the star is. There are arched stone struts that are anchored to the cliff face. And as I said, like that north wall is sort of carved directly in. And then there are heavy pillars on the 3 open sides supporting a wooden roof. The statue in the middle is the statue that you could see from your trip in. So the man with the 7 canaries.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to do while you're here.
No, I might study the map and see what's the best way to catch up to my companions are. Well, actually, I might. When was the last
Yeah.
time I ate? Should I might swing past the kitchen and see if there's any food and supplies.
You could definitely swing past the kitchen because you probably are hungry. Um,
There are some
In the
leftover
kitchen.
pastries with a giant danger sign.
Oh,
It's
no,
not that
no,
giant.
excuse me. No, Sean, who's the DM here? There are leftover pastries. There's no sign.
This tiny, tiny cute letter that says, please eat, and a smiling face.
Just. So, as you walk into the kitchen, sorry, I'll go back to the other map then if we're eating food first. As you walk into the kitchen, the first sort of room as such that you come to the right has the long table with sort of pew-like benches down each side. And on that table, there is a small plate of an assortment of pastries. And then beyond that, you can see sort of the kitchen proper. And if you wish to go into the kitchen and look in cupboards, for example, you can.
Do those pastries look familiar? Of the style of a certain.
Just thinking,
Like
you
what?
only saw. Did you see?
It was the fight with the mirror.
But there was only one pastry that was made, right? And
No,
nothing
everyone
bad
got
happened.
one.
But nothing
I
bad
fell asleep
happened
on the
at the
deck.
time. A couple of them look vaguely familiar.
I might wander into the kitchen. Food left out which no one else has touched makes me suspicious. So I'll
God damn it.
wander into the kitchen and see if I can find something else.
Could you give me an investigation check, please?
Which one's that?
It should be on your
Investigations.
skills list.
Skills list. Investigations. Oh, there we go.
There's a basket on the bench with some potatoes in them that are obviously completely raw and are also sprouting slightly and a bit green. You do open a drawer and find a variety of little jars in the drawer.
I will cautiously sniff these jars. Same method as before.
The first one that you open has a scent of sort of. Actually, how good are you with plants? I'm just going to say it's herby.
Herby. Like pleasingly herby or displeasingly herby?
Like stuff you would cook with.
Well, keep investigating, see if there's something more immediately palatable.
Look, mate, with a roll of 5, all you got were herbs and spices and some old potato.
Lame-o. I'll look around. Is there a kobold around and ask when the next mealtime might be?
There's not a kobold up here.
Hmm.
You'd have to go back down if you wanted to find one.
Yeah, I'll wander down and see if I can find someone. I still don't trust those pastries.
Fine. If you wander back down, you'll find Myla still doing interesting things. Something is bubbling in a jar in front of her, and she'll say, "Oh, you're allowed to help yourself to anything in the kitchen."
Unfortunately, I didn't see much there. Can you tell me when the next mealtime might be?
6 o'clock-ish, I think. I don't know. I'm not very good at time. You could go find Tarek and grab some like carrots out of the garden or something.
Oh, that sounds good. What are you concocting here now? In your cauldron.
I'm trying to make a new potion.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah. What's it do, or what are you hoping for it to do?
I was going to call it. No, I haven't quite decided what to call it yet, but basically to regrow hair.
Intriguing. This may help our druid's eyebrows, perhaps.
That's what I was thinking.
Excellent. Well, I wish you good luck with that. Where
Do you
might I
have any
find
bald
Tarek?
patches? Do you have any bald
I-
patches?
No, I seem to have managed to keep all my fur intact thus far. And hopefully I shall not need your potion.
She pulls out a razor blade and she says, "Would you like a bald patch?"
I will decline for now.
Fine.
But knowing
Um,
the sort of creatures that Erwin would like to associate with, there's probably a non-zero chance I will come back with a bald patch.
Tarek would be in the garden somewhere.
Okay. Well, I thank her and wish her well with her concoction, and go see if I can find Tarek to see if I can get some sort of food.
So you can find your way to the main garden, which is not shown on the map. But when you find your way there, you will find a human male, late middle-aged, pale skin, freckles, auburn hair, and some faded tattoos sort of peeking up the side of his neck from underneath his robes. And he is just sort of literally pottering around this little garden, pulling out the odd weed, literally talking to the plants.
Oh, I'll wait for what seems to be an opportune time and say hi, introduce myself, and compliment him on his garden.
He'll jump slightly as you say hi, just because he momentarily thought that the plants were talking back. But then he says, "Oh, more visitors. Gosh, we're inundated with visitors. Wait, oh, you must be the Tabaxi friend."
Hi. That I am. I was admiring your gardens and
Thank you.
was looking for news of my companions. I understand they're undertaking
They've
a
gone to
mission for
Seagrove
you.
Caves. Yes, oh gosh. You see, I go there to talk to the myconids to get the mushrooms, the ones, the heart cat mushrooms. I need them for the potions of healing, but I don't know what's happened. There's this giant octopus monster covered in fungus that's at the entrance to the cave, and it won't let me in, and I haven't heard from them, and I can't get in. And I mean, partly I just need the heart cat mushrooms, but partly also I'm quite worried for their safety. They're sort of my friends, the myconids.
Oh. What are
But they've gone.
myconids?
Oh,
I
the
have not
fungus
come
people.
across these. I see.
They're
Okay.
fascinating. They don't talk, but when you're near them, you just know the communication is special.
They
They're
sound
very
fascinating, and the fungus octopus sounds exactly the sort of thing that Erwin would be into.
Funny you should say that. I thought they'd be a bit scared, but she seemed quite keen.
Oh yes, I'm sure she'd want to add that to her collection.
She
Um,
collects fungus octopus monsters.
She collects all manner of creatures. She is a lover of all creatures. Odd
Hmm.
girl, but very nice. Well, I would like to catch up with them and would appreciate any information that may help me because I would like to catch up with my companions.
Oh,
I'm also
I can draw you a map and let you know which way they went.
Oh, that would be much appreciated. And secondly, I am quite hungry and I had no luck in the kitchen, and I was wondering if you might be able to help me out with perhaps some food.
He literally gestures around the garden and says, "Help yourself to whatever you can find."
Thank you.
And he draws you a little map that is basically identical to the one that Runar has already given you.
Yeah. Okay. And okay.
Are you going after them by yourself?
That was my plan. Is there? Do you have any thoughts on this? Is that ill-advised? Are
mean-
there dangers along the way?
You realize you've come to Stormwreck Isle, don't you?
Yes. But I am, I guess, unfamiliar with the native flora and fauna. I have met some harpies and some zombies. Are there other creatures, dangers to be aware of?
There are dangers everywhere in the world. It's just, I mean, they did insist they wanted to take the overland route, but I always row around the island myself. I wouldn't have walked across it alone, but I assumed they'd be fine because there were 3 of them together. And I mean, don't let me tell you where to go, but you are a pirate, aren't you? Pirates usually go for the seagoing option anyway.
Well, I could certainly do that. If there was a boat handy, is there a rowboat handy that I may borrow?
My rowboat's always kept down at the dock.
Would you mind if I borrow that?
Not at all. The only place I would be going is the sea caves, and obviously I'm not going there until such time as I can again, and hopefully your friends are going to help me. And yes, I would just think that if you were going to go, then perhaps the rowboat is better, although it is going to take you longer.
How long would the trip by sea be?
Look, it's about 5 miles to row. Usually takes me about 3.5 hours.
Well, I guess if you think that is the safer way, well, you wouldn't have to want to come along with. I mean, I anticipate with all 4 of us, we'll sort out this octopus, and then you could collect your mushrooms and check in on your myconid friends. And perhaps with both of us rowing, we'd get there faster.
Do you want to roll me a persuasion check?
Sure. Where's my persuasion?
Carrot coming to meet Hank.
No, he's not. Not with the persuasion check.
Oh,
Sad. Can Tarek loan his jacket to 6 to 7 kobolds, and we can stack them on top of each other?
Tarek says, "Look, I do need to keep gardening, and I'll be honest, I'm a tiny bit scared of the fungus octopus monster. It doesn't just turn me away; it tries to attack me."
You'd be quite safe with us. Can I use a deception check instead?
Well, you're pushing your luck, mate. Okay. He looks at
Worst
you.
rogue ever.
He looks at you. His fingers subconsciously rub the tattoo on his neck, and he looks you up and down and he says, I may be a simple gardener boy, but I know a lie when I see one. I suggest you take your carrots and look, you don't need to go if you don't want to.
I would like to catch up with my friends. Thank you for the carrots. I'll grab my carrots and so how long is the trip overland? If it's 3.5 hours by rowboat.
Well, I mean, it's technically a little bit further, but you would walk faster than you'd row. It's about 7 miles, about 2 hours, 2 hours 20.
Okay.
Assuming nothing stops you on the way.
Okay. I think I'm going to do the rowboat if that's the way he's been doing it. And I haven't been able to convince him. I don't think having kobolds would help, though they probably would come. So I will thank you, and I'll hop in this rowboat and see if I can get to meet Hank.
Cool. Can you give me, before we end this session, a check that feels appropriate for you solo rowing a rowboat? So I'm not sure if that's an athletics or maybe you could argue a survival.
I reckon an athletics.
Just like some sort of, I'm happy to let you pick out of those or something else if you can convince me it's a good choice. I just want an idea.
I could acrobatically row a boat.
Can you tell me how one acrobatically rows a boat?
Athletics.
Some Cirque du Soleil shit. He's got
Yeah.
1 foot on one oar and 1 foot on the other oar, and he's back flipping to make it go.
I mean, look, if you want to do it like that, I'll let you, but I will raise the DC.
Look, I'm gonna go for it. Make this trip interesting.
Okay. Great laugh. Thank you. And I want one more roll for you, please. Can I get a perception check? 9. Cool. All right. We're gonna leave it there for tonight. So when we come back, hopefully with a group of 3 ready to head to the caves, we can start the caves with them, and you can catch up when you get there.
Excellent. With some Cirque du Soleil rowing.
And poor perception. Sounds good. Thanks, folks.
Thanks so much.
Go.